despite the challenges of COVID, we felt that we should have this meeting through virtue. It's a mandatory condition. It is for this condition, for these reasons that we have invited you to have this meeting through online system. And we are glad that we have our peers here who has gracefully agreed to speak to us, to grace this occasion, and to make an open remarks. Bana guest of honor, sir, the Principal Secretary, Dr. Kiptoo, I take this opportunity on behalf of these great members to welcome you to this meeting. Sir, FSK is the sole forestry profession body in the country. This organization was started sometimes back in 1979. We have been growing, and currently we have a membership of between 2,500 to about 3,000. We draw our membership largely from Kenya Forest Service, the employees of Kenya Forest Service, and also Kenya Forest Research Institute, and also the universities. So today is a privilege for us, for you to speak to us. To this country in recent years has undergone a lot of transformation in terms of forestry. We have seen a lot of things happening, and these also present a challenge and also opportunities for FSK. So I think it's an honor to have you around. And before I welcome you, I want to welcome the Chief Conservator of Forests to say one or two words. Bwana Chief Conservator of Forests, Mr. Julius, come on.
Thank you, Noel, and Bwana PS and the entire membership of FSK. I had acknowledged I didn't want to say much today. I'm one of the members of FSK, and therefore, by the nature of this meeting, I can't say much, but just to say hi to my fellow members and wish ourselves the best of deliberations in today's meeting and also the AGM. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
So, Bwana Chief Guest, the Principal Secretary, I know the time you are seriously scheduled. Constrained in terms of time. I want this opportunity to take this opportunity to welcome you to this meeting, and also to address these great members. Karibu sana sana.
Thank you very much, all members of the Forest Society of Kenya. That includes the CCF. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It gives me a great pleasure to join this large gathering of foresters and forest sector players to preside over the opening of the 2020 annual general meeting for the Forest Society of Kenya. I recall that on the 9th of this month, which is about 20 days ago, I received the leadership of the FSK in my office, and they briefed me about the activities of FSK, and they also took the opportunity to request me to grace today's occasion. So I'm happy to join you, and I'm briefed that you have been doing you're having a preliminary discussions on transformation of the forest sector through policy and certification. I thank the leadership of FSK for the invitation, and I also thank all of you for attending this important meeting. You are all aware I'm fairly new in this ministry. I think now just slightly over 6 months, and all my background, I have never been trained in this area, so I don't have any academic credentials relating to this sector. But I think I bring in one thing, which is passion, because in all my days when I grew up, I used to do tree planting, do tree conservation. Wherever I was in school, I was a member of relevant societies, and therefore I feel with the technical people like you, I can still be able to provide leadership in the ministry. It is important to know that the Forest Society of Kenya was registered in 1979 as the sole forest professional body in Kenya. That the society is mandated to serve and protect the public interest in the practice of professional forestry is important. I have been briefed that you now have about 3,000 members, largely drawn from the institutional bodies in our ministry, the Kenya Forest Service, the Kenya Forest Research Institute, and the universities. And that the society has grown over leaps and bounds since 1979. I would like to acknowledge the contribution that the society has made in the development of various forest-related policies and laws, supporting of topic discussions even at the time of COVID-19 pandemic, as well as participating in the various tree planting activities that we have had. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all cognizant of the many challenges that face the forest sector. We know we have increased and unsustainable utilization of forest goods and services, mainly coming as a result of increased population of our country. And the fact that we have also shrinking forest land, we have inadequate technical and security personnel, and the major challenge of unprofessional and unethical practices and conducts. Of course, we have the other challenge, which is the fact that our sector has not benefited from adequate allocation of resources from government for driving managerial research and training functions. And we also know, of course, that when you value the sector and you look at the contribution it's making to the economy, it's much bigger. So that undervaluation is an issue that probably we need to keep focusing on. But I wish to say that in recent years, the situation has been made even worse by the increasing negative effects of climate change and global warming. This morning, I was being briefed by the officers of Kenya Meteorological Department, and they were telling me how temperatures have been rising. And when I look at the density of the map, clearly the future doesn't look very nice, because it looks like the global warming will even be getting worse. And so the climate change is a reality. The most worrying of all is the decreasing, I think the most worrying challenge of this sector is the decreasing number of student enrollment in forestry, environmental and natural resource management courses. I wish to say that whereas it will take concerted efforts of our Ministry of Environment and Forest, the respective institutions and agencies such as KFS and KEFRI, as well as civil society organizations and the private sector to address the challenges I've just enumerated, the central role of the Forest Society of Kenya in addressing these challenges cannot be overemphasized. The promulgation of our constitution in 2010 and the subsequent enactment of the Human Resource Management Professionals Act of 2012 has not only made it mandatory for all employees to be a member of a professional body, but also setting and maintenance of ethical conducts by all professional bodies. It is important also to note that the success of any professional body is dependent on its ability to lobby for change through policy formulations. It is on these submissions that I would like to challenge the leadership and all members of FSK to rise to the occasion and strengthen this great organization. I encourage you to seize the opportunity that has been brought about by the ongoing review of the forest policy and the Forest Conservation and Management Act of 2016 to embed and to strengthen your society. As a ministry, we will provide all the requisite support. Let me now turn to the presidential directive on 10% tree cover. Ladies and gentlemen, you will recall that on the 12th May 2018, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, while presiding on National Tree Planting Campaign, directed for accelerated attainment of 10% national tree cover by 2022. Very ambitious target. It required that by 2022, we needed to have planted about 1.8 billion seedlings in an area of 1,625,000 hectares, 625,000 hectares, led by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. We have developed a national strategy for achieving and maintaining the 10% tree cover by 2022. And that strategy has been approved by Cabinet, and we have been implementing it. The National Tree Planting Campaign project was subsequently conceived and allocated a budget of 1 billion, even though the total budget was 48 billion. And we have seen even that budget decline. And currently, even with the green, the economic stimulus package, we have been allocated about 540 million shillings, which is far lower given the responsibility that we have. It is against this background that the ministry is currently spearheading efforts to mobilize all government agencies, the private sector, and general public to raise resources to achieve the requisite 10% cover within the planting seasons, which are coming. We have about 3 of them now before 2022. I cannot overemphasize the relevance and the role of your society in this noble endeavor. We do not only look forward to building on your wide networks for mobilization of seedlings and the general public, but also your contributions in developing certification standards to facilitate procurement of quality seeds from the private tree nurseries. It is on these submissions that the 2 preliminary discussions on certification of tree nurseries and commercial forestry before this before your annual general meeting are of great interest. It is my considered opinion that the neutral leadership of FSK in hosting this discussion, particularly on certification of the tree nurseries, will address the issues that stalled the previous attempts. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've come to the end of my speech, but I just want to make 2 additional points off the cuff. One is that we have seen a lot of, personally I've seen a lot of professionalism among the members of the team that is working with me. Very hardworking people, very knowledgeable people. But I think when we look at the past, we see also a lot of challenges that have come. And a lot of the challenges in our sector are governance related. So I want to challenge you, FSK, to rise to the occasion and ensure that we promote ethical standards, we promote professionalism more in this sector. Because I think there is so much that we have lost, because if FSK was more active, I think a lot would have been done to ensure that entire membership of FSK rise to the occasion to ensure that our forest cover is not as degraded as it has been. So we have this campaign that is coming up. I challenged the leadership recently and I said, please, let's work together. And I think I have one member of FSK who works in my office. Sometimes we feel the 1.8 billion may be too ambitious. But I have asked who advised on this strategy? Who set up the 2 billion campaign? We were told that by 2010, the forest cover was 6.99%. And that to reach 10% cover, you members of the Professional Society of Kenya have computed and told us that you require 2 billion seedlings in order to reach a 10% tree cover. So if that is the case, then why can't we not achieve? We can mobilize Kenyans, and we have tested this before, that we can actually bring all Kenyans together, even in one day, and plant the 2 billion. We can have even up to 100 seedlings planted by one member. Just recently, when I was in Kaptagat, we competed with Eliud Kipchoge, the famous marathon runner. And we were trying to challenge each other how many trees you can plant in under 2 minutes. And we had the foresters lining behind us. And we planted 14 seedlings between me and Kipchoge. Each one of us planted 14 seedlings in under 2 minutes. We had two guys who beat us. They planted 17 seedlings in under 2 minutes. And we had foresters checking on every hole that we planted to check that they were properly planted. So if we achieved in 2 minutes 14 seedlings, what about in 1 hour? What about in 2 hours? What about in one single day? And if we were to ask Kenyans to come and plant these trees, can we have the seedlings? This is why of late we are focusing on making sure that we have seeds and then we focus on seedlings. So we are empowering KEFRI, and I think a lot of the members here will tell you. And then we have talked to His Excellency President. He has accepted to rally the Kenyans to make sure we plant trees. So we want by 2022 to achieve this target. I challenge you, members of FSK. If you feel we will not achieve this target, you better tell the PS now. And I will tell the minister to make sure we inform cabinet that those targets cannot be met. If you feel we can, then give us the best ways to approach it so that we succeed. I think with those many remarks, I want to stop there. And that's to encourage you again that you are an important institution in this country. We hold all the certification we'll expect to be done, because we have asked that we have nurseries registered and certified. It will be you to certify. Then we ask private sector now to direct their money to the nurseries that have been certified. That certification must be one that can be accepted. I would have said more, but I think let me stop now, just to say that I've traveled around and I see the level of degradation in our country is high. We can do more than just planting trees. We can focus on gabions, we can focus on planting grass and many others. So I look forward to joining your future meetings. And I think because I'm the PS now in charge of forestry, I am an automatic member of the society. Maybe you need to graduate me to be an alumni. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, Bwana PS, for very inspiring and challenging as well as uplifting speech. We appreciate the challenges that you have posed to us. Sir, of 5 slides, if we can discuss on the status of certification in this country, and then maybe from there we can have some 2-3 responses to you, and then maybe we can release you with your permission.
Okay, proceed.
We start with the background. The background, we have already, the PS has already stated that the country wishes to have planted, we have to have plant 1.8 billion tree seedlings by 2022. Yet we know we have challenges in quality and quantity of seedlings, which we are supplying. And also, I also wish to let you know that most of these seeds which are in various nurseries are collected from farmland. Most of it is collected from farmland, that is 72.3%. Retro is collected from natural forests, from plantations, which I'm sure mostly is the KEFRI collection, vegetative propagation, which is more or less from seed orchards. We still are yet to accept standards for tree nursery operations in Kenya. We have also limited linkages in tree nursery operations and markets. Tree nursery operations are characterized by limited regulatory and coordinated functions. Still on background, we have various types of tree nurseries. In Kenya, we have government nurseries like KFS and KEFRI. National Museums of Kenya, we have NGOs. Forest users like the CFA nurseries, self-help groups, individuals, schools, churches like Catholic as various nurseries and ACK, CPOs, and international organizations and companies like BAT. We also have tree nurseries characterized in small, medium, and large, according to the production, the number of seedlings. Kenya Forest Society of Kenya with major partners are considering ingrading the tree nurseries based on criteria like the one developed by Uganda, and also with the lessons learned from agriculture, where there's KFS which certify all the nurseries and also develop standards. Key milestones which we have achieved so far as Kenya. We have trees, the first county tree nursery association formed from Nakuru in 2017. The same year, we also had the first national tree nursery workshop, which was organized by FAO, KFS, a Smallholder Farmers Association, and also the county of Nakuru. Then still in 2017, there was an exchange visit, which was supported by Gatsby, where KFS, KEFRI, FFSPAC, the Smallholder Farmers Association, the tree growers, and many other organizations accompanied, went to Uganda to see the success story of the Uganda tree nursery certification. In 2018, we had developed on nursery procedures manual. 2020, the Forest Society of Kenya, together with partners, wished to enhance registration, certification, and standard development of tree nurseries. This is still a continuation of certification and also still of custody, just showing the important bit that in nurseries, then we'll go to the forests. Then from forests, we can go now to the sawmills. The way the forest materials go through the processing and the retailer, where the end products. This is very important because it shows the success of the market and it improves efficiency. To me, also transparency and the reputation of product benefits. We have suggested ways on why the nursery certification is important. One of them is that it improves the material, the quality of the planting material, which also is going to really help us achieve the 10% recovery, because it means most of the trees are not going to be drying up. They are going to survive. They will be planted in the right sites and also the right sizes, the right species. The other thing is efficiency in also nursery standards and competitiveness. Also, it will also result in efficient, improved silviculture practices. Also, certification also improves the sales and the margins for local communities, especially because the people buying want to buy materials which they are so sure is of high quality. Some of our farmers have had challenges exporting their materials outside the country because of this program of certification. Also, certification will resort to site matching. That means we will be having right trees planted in the right sites or right places. This will really do, considering like the agriculture. That's why agriculture has managed to sow their seed crops and also fruits because of this certification. I think then I go to the almost the final. The action plan which we have developed as a society is that we think we need to start with adapting finalize and adapt the nursery procedure manual for Kenya. The next stage should be develop quality standard for tree nurseries. The other stage should be inventorying all tree nurseries, registration and certification of tree nurseries. Then the last thing should be harmonizing extension materials, tree nursery management guidelines, which are already been developed by various organizations, so that whoever is having a tree nursery, there is some harmony of how the nurseries are managed and the results of the end products of the tree nursery. I think, thank you very much for everything, but anybody can raise any question they may have. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Sir, Bwana PS, I'm certainly sure that this is a topic that is very close to your heart. This presentation just highlights where we are as a country in terms of developing the process. We are not reinventing the wheel. The process has been initiated. Thanks to KFS, thanks to KEFRI, thanks to Gatsby particularly, and also FAO. This process started way back in 2017, but however, it is told somewhere in 2018. So what we are suggesting is that, of course, considering the discussion that we have been having with you recently and the challenges that you have posed to us, it's important that these stakeholders are brought together and we initiate the discussion from where it is. So I think maybe we will have the final 5 minutes to present the second presentation, but I will say quickly so that, that we release the PS and respond to the issues. Just 5 minutes. Jose.
Thank you very much. My name is Samuel Ose from Compla Industries Limited, Nakuru. So as an introduction is that we want to remind ourselves that the forest area in Kenya is approximately 4.4 million, and that the plantations in these areas, the gazetted forest only covers only 150,000 hectares. This includes the private forest, which excludes the private forest that covers only 90,000, which is about 5% of the total thing that is used by the population. And if you look at the wood efficiency in the country, is that the use of wood is only 10 million cubic meters, and in the Vision 2030 it was said, envisaged that to be used will use up to 15 million cubic meters. Now, following this logging ban, the forest industries have survived on private plantations, but have put these industries at stake. Clearly, the mature and the mature timber are, however, going in the west in the forest that we have noted that covers only 5%. So during this moratorium, we noted that there are some effects that we have on moratorium, which I wanted that to highlight. That we have given that now we have imported goods that are free. So the way forward, what appears is that our suggestion is, go to the next slide, please. The way forward is that we have suggested about 4 ways forward. Number one is that concessions. We have seen that concessions have worked in other countries, born Ghana, and that we have seen that the FCMA recognizes concession as a management tool, and it has stipulated to the service how it can grant these concessions. Therefore, we are thinking that the multisectoral team from the KFS and the timber industry can, as a matter of urgency, craft a way forward on this. The second method of management, the second one is that we should move to forest management agreement, and that we have said that the agreement allow for the plantations to be managed in a particular way, and the agreement can be done such that it covers both indigenous separately, and the plantations can be covered separately. Yeah, so saying that the third option is that we can do private forest participation, and that significant amount of forest cover under private ownership exists, and that the government will introduce incentives to private individuals ready to invest in tree planting, such as insurance cover to these people. Forest plantation as a way of living out such idle land. And finally, is that the forestry player can release idle government land for some rotation time, like say 2. And finally, we are talking about natural and supplementary forests. And I think
So I think the most important thing what is underscoring is that the need for us to incentivize commercial forestry by introducing some incentives. And also it was alluding to that the government can make some deliberate policies. And then we could also have maybe the issue of concession. It was speaking to this. I want to welcome Paul Opanga. He will pick 2 questions or 2 issues that will be related to maybe the response of the peers, responding to the speech of the peers, maybe 2 issues that is related to the issue of certification of the nursery, and then 2 issues that is related to the issue, the commercial forestry. Paul Opanga.
Nur,
over to you.
I hope I'm coming out clear. I again want to take this opportunity to thank the PS Kiptoo, and I'm sure members of Forest Society of Kenya would like to pose some quick questions, possibly where the PS can react. So I kindly request the first 2. There is the reaction part on the Zoom. Just put your hand up, then I might be able to see who you are. Then I can give that opportunity for you to ask questions. Meanwhile, I'll also request that using the chat box, the message part, put the question coming, the questions or issues could be regard to the nursery certification. And also that is a presentation that was done by Ann Bora. And you can also have questions or issues that emerge from Samuel Ose's presentation, which is in regard to commercial plantation. So kindly let me have response from 1 or 2 persons who are ready so that we save time. We only have less than about 5 minutes to take the question.
I want to specifically thank the PS for having been able to get time and be with us today. And I think on this area of tree nursery certification, I think Bwana PS, you did allude to it. I think it was last week when you actually gave some very clear directions in the way we need to go, and also in terms of timelines. I looked at it and I saw the timelines, and I was very, very optimistic in terms of getting head on to this discussion that we have held as FSK for a very long time, and we have not been able to move on. My only concern was, I think, the deadlines. The deadlines themselves, we FSK members, because we are all now joined here by our peers, and the peers, there is something that he has said that most of the decisions that he is making is also being advised by we members of FSK. I think it is also a good time that we also need to discuss candidly with the peers so that we are able to see that it is actually true. We can actually be able to meet the deadlines as he had put them in terms of this forestry nurseries certification and standardization. And this is something that I'm reflecting back all the way to the FSK members. Now that we have the PS with us, we commit ourselves that is doable, and we tell ourselves from tomorrow we are going to start it, and the timeline that he gave us, we will be able to complete it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne, for that presentation. I remember research that was done by Muriuki, Dr. Muriuki, during his master's degree at Kenyatta University. And one thing that we noticed is that many of the tree nurseries, the quality of the seeds that they use is of very poor quality. And therefore, to me, when it comes to nursery certification, we should be so much concerned with the source of seeds. Where do these nursery owners get their seeds? If we can be able to ensure that they have the right seeds, then we'll be having the right materials to be planted in the field. When it comes to Mr. Ose, I can say that the suggestion that he's coming up with the management of forest is very good. But I have a small problem, especially when it comes to forest concession. When I visit some countries that have been practicing this, especially you go to Southeast Asia, go to Indonesia, go to Thailand, go to Philippines, go to Cambodia, you realize that concession has not worked, because the people who end up benefiting, they are the sawmillers and not the local people or the government. To me, I think we should be in a position to borrow, like what is happening in a country like Zambia, where the government itself has already come up with a company for managing plantation forests, so that at the end of it all, Kenyans benefit, not a few individuals. Thank you.
I had 2 questions on the presentation from Anne. The first one was, in 2020, I see there are some partners who helped KFS in the registration, certification, and standard development of nurseries. I just wanted to know which partners these were, because me, I'm from KEFRI Londiani, that's Rift Valley, and I didn't know there was ongoing work.
Hello?
Then we have certification of forest products. I've seen mainly they cover the economic part that is dealing with the sawmillers. I was thinking forest products are more than just timber. Maybe we could also do certification or grading of forest, natural forest, to encourage foresters to do some biodiversity conservation. Then on Samuel's presentation was a good one. We're just wondering what were, among other losses, what were the ecological losses as a result of the moratorium. Then the way forward for concession, management agreements, private forestry participation, natural community forests. I was just thinking, you should maybe enlighten us. For the past, I don't know how many years we've been doing forest management agreements, the milestones we've managed to come through and the challenges, so that as we move forward, we'll be well guided on which of the other forest management paths we should take as we try to use our forests and also conserve them. Thank you.
I take this opportunity to thank you once again for inviting me. The presentations you've given are very good. I like the one on the issue of certification. That action plan is very important. Can we agree when you are going to deliver that action plan? And it will be an action plan you will jointly deliver with my ministry. So we know exactly on those 4 areas, when are you going to deliver them? They are important to the agenda that we have. Then on the issue of commercial forestry, commercial plantations, I think we need a greater conversation of this. It is one area I'm very keen, being a PS that came from trade side. Whenever I used to analyze the imports, I used to see a lot of our products. We import so much, and even toothpicks, you know. What is the strategy for us to import substitute by promoting commercial plantations? And what type of plantations are we focusing on? I have seen now we have bamboo, which has now been classified as a crop under the Crops Act of 2013. What is the strategy we need to have? I see bamboo has so many other uses. So in this commercial plantations, I want to propose that with you, the FSK, we hold a national conference on commercial forestry before end of the year. And we can work together. I'm happy to support that process. So we have a conversation around this. So to answer the questions now, I think the issue, I think somebody called Jambiri or Chambiri, I didn't hear the name properly, on the deadlines. Yeah, we have tried to, we discussed this in the ministry and asked ourselves, how do we achieve this? And we thought KEFRI has a role on certification. Of course, I now see that even FSK itself has a role to play, but we thought within the ministry we have KEFRI. But on the mapping and registration of the nurseries, we thought KFS has a larger network in the country. The infrastructure it has is amenable for registration and for mapping and registration. So the CS and I agreed to task these 2 agencies that they need to have done the mapping registration by Q1, which is, I think tomorrow is the end of Q1. So we expect that to exercise to be complete. The issue of certification is something that will follow, but you will need to map and register, and then now you start the process of certification. And we therefore are still very keen to have these deadlines met. I was happy to hear from the CCF that there's a lot going on to develop an online system. They are testing it now, getting views. Friday, I think I'll be in a forum that I'll be getting feedback on the progress. And God willing, on Tuesday next week, KFS will issue a public notice on the same, so that we now have interested people or companies, whatever, or communities can register. That's important. But now the process of certification is I think, as per your action plan, what are the protocols for the certification? You know, all those questions you raised, they're important, and actually nobody else can raise this better than yourself, because you are the professionals. I will take what you give me. But I think that timeline is key. we also said for seeds, we know it comes from the seeds will be provided from many places, but for purposes of this national campaign, we are trying to capacity build KEFRI. So far with the support we have given, they have told us in their stores now, they have 43 metric tons. And in the next few months, maybe 2 months, they will have another 10. So we have 53 metric tons. And in the calculation of, going by the calculation of experts such as yourself, you are telling us that 50 metric tons, if put on nurseries, can generate about 1.2 to 1.3 billion seedlings. So the question, of course, we'll ask is whether those seeds are of good quality. KEFRI being the institution that is supposed to do research and certification, surely we would expect KEFRI to make sure that the seeds that it distributes are of high quality. I think we have had a debate around whether they are of good quality or not, but going by what they have sold to the public, private sector, they seem to be a good success rate in terms of germination. So we'll leave it to you, FSK, to still make a contribution on that. But the sources should be certified also. So we need someone to say which source. So is it going to be FSK? Is it going to be KEFRI? I think that is, those are things I want to challenge you. But we are thinking that if KEFRI has those seeds, the seeds will be given to private sector and public sector. So even within government, we have talked to prisons, they will take up some. We have talked to KONZA through Ministry of ICT, the Ministry of Education, Higher Education. A lot of them will take up and put up their nurseries. But private sector will do the same. And then we do a consultation with the number of stakeholders to make commitments on uptake of those of the seedlings once they are put. So there will be a process of reaching out on stakeholders to see how we make sure that whatever is planted or the nurseries, there is uptake. So that's another conversation we'll have. We are already talking to donors and many others. We are even having a discussion around setting up an equivalent of a COVID fund for the national tree planting, a fund specific for supporting this issue of nurseries. And I think these are things we will discuss going forward if we get the forum. But thanks a lot for inviting me. I think take those as challenges you can discuss among yourselves, but I request that I be allowed to take off unless there is any other issue.
Thank you, sir. Sir, before you leave, I think we want to give you a vote of thanks from the chairman. Where's Wamugunda? Ben? Ben? Ben seems to be not coming on board. Sir, I think as the vice chair, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for gracing this occasion. And also, we have taken note of the challenge that you have posed to us, particularly in terms of stating of ethical standards and upholding of ethical standards. But what we want to call upon you, sir, is that we have the issue of the legal framework. We have the constraints in terms of legal framework. We have been trying to develop the professional bill time and again, I think for the last quite a number of years. We ran into several challenges. But this time, I think with your leadership and commitment that you'll give us all the necessary support, we will come knocking to your door. What we want to do is that we want to leverage on the Forest Conservation and Management Act, and maybe see if we can have a subsidiary legislation that will allow the growth and the development of this great organization. Otherwise, on behalf of these great members, we have about 72 members who are already in attendance. I want to thank you and appreciate your presence. Thank you so much, sir. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Hussein, sorry, Nur. Yeah, Nur Hussein and your colleagues, the chairman. I think I met him and we discussed a lot. The rest of the members, It's been a great pleasure having you. And I look forward to another forum. I think Corona now is getting away, so we should be able to have a physical meeting soon. Please make use of my office. I shall provide you with the necessary support. And don't hesitate to give me professional advice. I shall have an open door policy to ensure that I listen to what you say. Thank you very much. And asanteni.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Asante sana. I think we'll proceed from there. Maybe briefly, we will allow, I want to call upon the patron.
First of all, I would like to thank the the organizing committee for an effective interaction through Zoom. I would like to thank the PS very much for coming to share with us. I think his statements are very encouraging, that his door will be open to us to go and give professional advice. We have not had this in a long time. And I also want to appreciate the members who went to the PS to pay a courtesy call and to inform him about our activities. Let me just say a few words about the two presentations we have had. We have looked at the nursery end of development, which is usually the beginning, but the nursery bit is the cheapest and the easiest. Then we have looked at the industry bit, which is the end product. And what we have in the middle is the most important. That is the area of making sure that the tree grows. And for tree growing, we should not be giving people false impressions on the basis of the number of seedlings in the nurseries. The seedlings which are given for public planting, we do not expect more than 10% of them to be mature trees. So we should be careful how we advise government on meeting the 10% target forests. What is needed are two things. We need to address the person who will make sure that seedling grows into a tree. And that can be the farmer himself or the forest service. The forest service is not at the moment very active in making sure that seedlings grow to be trees. I have checked the extension services in the field. They are not funded to make sure that seedlings can be trees eventually. The KFS is not funded at the moment to increase the tree cover. And yet it is the entity which we can rely on to increase this tree cover. And so, as the PS has said, we need a broader conversation as to how we make sure that the 10% tree cover is realized beyond the seedlings or seed we are talking about. However, I take the pointers from the PS that the government is now willing for us to guide the attainment of the 10% cover in a more professional way. And I hope that, this society will take advantage of that invitation so that we line up our institutions and we clear the responsibilities for making the seedlings become trees and that cover be attained. Thank you very much. And I wish you well in the ongoing discussions.
Thank you so much, Professor Wino, and always happy to tap your rich knowledge in the forestry field. I'm also happy to say that as we hear the discussion today, we have already realized two very important action lines. One is a PS and has indicated the need and readiness to hold a conference on commercial forestry with FSK. I think this is something that we all need to have in our mind and we work towards it, because this is an opportunity as FSK, we cannot let it go. And on the other hand, also he has challenged us to actualize the timeline on the tree nursery certification. So I think these are two very, very important points we need to gather, and I'm sure, be taking them to the next level. And I believe they will also be discussed in our annual AGM meeting, which we are about to go to. So at this moment, I also thank the two presenters, Samuel Osei, as well as Ann Bora, for the two enlightening and insightful presentations that have kept the discussion on. I'm sure we'll have more sessions to build on this. I'm aware of the AGM because it also has a huge agenda on the other side. So thank you so much, and also for the members of FSK for the many chats we continue to see on the chat part. So please continue doing that. We will gather all those comments together and give a feedback as we continue. I'm also informed of the survey. Please fill it. Meanwhile, at this moment,